I'm Alma Lee. I'm a psychotherapist and transformative lifestyle resiliency coach and author, and I want to help you reach your goals by teaching you how to step outside of those fear-based mindsets and into your powerful, loving self. Let's get started. Now, y'all know that I try to be an open book. An open book as much as I feel is acceptable and appropriate given my personal relationships with people that might be affected by my narrative here, so keep that in mind. But I was logging into Facebook yesterday, and it said, you have memories to look back on today. I have to admit, every time I see that, it's a toss-up. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or if it's going to be a bad thing. And what I mean by it being a bad thing is that it's going to make me full of a sense of dread or shame or embarrassment because I've changed so much. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about change and the evolution of who we become as we sort of meander through this thing called life. Like what Prince said, you know, we're all trying to get to the same place. I think we're all trying to get to the same destination. We're all taking our own path to get there. And I gotta say, I had some deep revelations that I want to share with you today, in the hopes that you can reflect on it and that I can sort of carry the torch, if you will, so that you don't feel so bad about it if it's happening to you. I think that when I experience something, I try to take it as inspiration because I know I cannot be the only person who logs into social media and sees things that you posted 10 years ago, and then you're just full of cringe. You're full of, oh God, what was I thinking, or what was going on? And maybe you get a little self-deprecation going on there. Maybe you feel shame. I know I do. I'm not even gonna try and pretend about it. But yesterday, I logged in, and it pulled me into this whole rabbit hole. I went through probably about 20 years of memories, and it wasn't a depressing thing. It was bittersweet, and I want to talk about it, and I want to share with you some of my own personal understandings and revelations that I came to yesterday. And thanks to my very dear friend Rebecca Edwards, shout out to her. This woman has been my ride or die since 2007, since we were young Army wives, located in upstate New York at Fort Drum, New York is where we met together. And I asked her before I recorded this episode, I said, can I mention your name on here? And she's like, yeah, of course. So she listens to the show. So if you're listening to this show because you're friends with Rebecca, you know what? You're good people, because she's an awesome person. She's been my ride or die, and she's been somebody that I'm deeply connected to. So I saw some memories on my social media that made me feel some type of way. And I recognized something. I've seen these pictures before, but something hit me differently yesterday when I was looking at them. And I noticed something about myself. As I looked through, I saw myself in certain situations. And in those certain situations, I was always drinking. I don't drink now. I'm sober. I don't miss it. I don't desire it. It's not something that I feel like I had to give up necessarily. But man, is my life different now. Holy smokes, it's so much different now. Like, my priorities have shifted a 180 because alcohol's no longer a feature in my life. And listen, and if you drink, I want to caution you on something right now. I am absolutely not trying to champion myself or pat myself on the back and say that I'm sober and I'm doing this and you should do it too. I think everybody goes through their own experience, especially if you're dealing with any type of substance or any type of vice that is kind of got a grip on you. Maybe it's not necessarily controlling you, or maybe you're just dancing with it. That's how I felt about alcohol. I was dancing with it much of my life. And you know what? I ain't even going to lie. I abused alcohol in my 20s when I was in the military. I think, I've talked about it before in the past. I've never characterized myself as being powerless with alcohol. I've never felt powerless. I always felt like I was a willing participant. That's just how I saw it then. That's how I still see it, which I guess in a way sort of shines back on me as being quote unquote the one to blame. So that's where that sort of that bubble of shame can come rising to the top when you look at those memories. And here's what I've kind of come to terms with. And I sent a message to Rebecca and I was like, golly, I realized something. I said, it's so bittersweet. When I look back on those photographs, I look back on myself when I was in the military. I look back on myself when I was a newlywed and so deeply in love with my ex-husband. And shout out to my ex-husband for putting up with that too, because you know what? He wasn't just the bad guy, because I was in it too. But just looking at her and looking at who she was back then, my knee-jerk response is like, oh, golly, like that feeling of dread. And you know what? I want to share something. It's something that I see and then I hear other people do, is that we're so quick to just shut down and shut out those parts and pieces of who we used to be that don't make us proud. And, I got to tell you, those are the parts of yourself that need the most love. They really are. And that was what I realized yesterday that I wanted to share with Rebecca, because she and I have had numerous deep conversations about our own evolution, because our evolutions have been quite similar. She's happily married now, wonderful husband I hope to meet soon. But, she and I both went through the fire of being, Army wives. And if you're listening to this and you've been what's considered a dependent spouse, which I'm not a fan of that term, but that's what they call us. And you know what it's like to go long gaps of time where your significant other is not with you. And so you have to fight the fire. You have to be everything all the time for everyone. And then when your partner comes back, then they don't really have a space and you don't know what to give them anymore, because now you've got things a certain way. And it's hard. It's a hard life. And I'm looking back on all these pictures that are posting that I willingly dug into after I saw that one memory pop up. And I dug in and I just, I felt this, it was just a bittersweet feeling like, God, look at where I've come from. And while I think about the hardship, I think about all the toil and all the sacrifice. And, at certain points, if you've been through a divorce, you know what it feels like to feel like everything was worthless at some point. I mean, we've all been there. If you've been married and you've gotten divorced, you've gone through that whole phase where you feel like it was for nothing. And you might have photographs of yourself at that point in time where you felt like, what was it all for? What was the point? You feel like you've wasted space and time. But I don't feel that way. I really don't. And I don't know if I ever really did. I know I was angry. That's a fact. You can ask my ex-husband about that. No, don't. But looking back, the bittersweet nature of the fact that I sit here and am able to record this podcast with an open mind and an open, comfortable, confident heart, and sharing this with you and knowing that it is helpful and knowing that it is received. And I'm not the only one. I know that. And neither are you. You're not the only one either. You're not the only one out there who feels a sense of dread or feels like the space that you're in right now in your life, you might not want to go back and see where you came from. I know that I've got some friends that are sober, that have been to rehab, that are in recovery from drugs and alcohol. Shout out to you, man. I am proud of you. If you have ever felt like your life was getting flushed down the toilet because of drugs and alcohol or any other vice that was in control of you, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you and where you are. And I know it's hard. I've worked with a lot of people in recovery, and it is a difficult day-by-day effort. I'm so proud of you. I just want to say something about my experience with alcohol and with self-hatred, with self-deprecation, with insecurity, with lack of confidence, feeling a sense of worthlessness. That was me. It wasn't even anything that I had any question over. That's the sad thing. And those are the bittersweet feelings that come to the surface when I look at photographs of myself in my early 20s, because I can remember how she felt. I can remember that the smile that she had, on her face in that particular photograph was fictionalized. It didn't really come from a genuine place because she didn't feel like she was deserving of it. There was just this hole inside of her heart. And that poor girl, she just didn't feel like she fit in or that she deserved to be there. That was what culminated in my suicide attempt on my 25th birthday, was the fact that I didn't think I even deserved to be here at all. And, there's been 25 years of growth between now and then. So obviously, when I look at those photographs over the years, especially having, had my children and gotten married and gotten divorced and moved and had all of these experiences and all of these ups and downs in my life, and, seeing moments where I'm the only one. I can look at that picture and I can see myself smiling in that picture, but I'm the only one. When I look at that picture, I know exactly what I was feeling and I know what I was hiding. And so that's the bittersweet. Do you have that? Do you look through those old photographs and have those experiences as well? Do you self-deprecate? Do you look at old photographs of yourself and then feel a sense of dread or maybe even hatred? Let's just put it out there. Let's just be real here. Are you? Do you? This is what I offer. This is what I want to, encourage you to consider in this episode. It's something that I sort of sat with yesterday and I thought, wow, this will be a great topic to share with you today. Is that, as much as I look at those pictures of her as a 20-something-year-old woman, early 30s, working diligently, working for the TSA at the Charleston airport and making friends and raising her son, going to getting her bachelor's degree, and just go. And she's just, everything she's doing to prove to other people that she's worthy, not to herself. I remember that specifically. Everything that she did, everything that young woman did was to try to get a little bit from somebody else because she couldn't do it for herself. That was not even anything that she could comprehend. Self-love, self-regard, worthiness, being secure and confident in who she was. She was great at masking it. Everybody thought she was the most confident person on the planet. She was a supervisor, so she had to pretend well. She had to be a great actress. And she did for a while. She did. And I look at those photographs now. And so the story is, the whole reason I'm on this tangent today is because my heart hurts for her in a bittersweet way, because I am confident, because I do love myself. And getting to this moment, I'm going to choke up just recording this. Woof. I don't think I've ever gotten choked up in an episode before. But I love her, and I see her, and that poor girl thinking that she had to drink in order to sort of prop herself up in a way so that she could connect to other people because it was easier that way. Alcohol made it easier to act. Alcohol made it easier for her to put on that bravado. And I think, you know what? It just clicked. That's why I don't drink now. It's because I don't need it anymore as far as creating confidence, because it's there. And listen, I'm telling you right now, if I can do it, I know you can do it. If you, and I'm not talking about not drinking, I'm talking about building confidence. I'm talking about creating a sense of resiliency within yourself that's built upon your own security, your own sense of worthiness. Just knowing who you are despite the circumstances of where you came from. None of that matters. None of that matters. Your circumstances on where you were born from and who brought you into existence, none of it matters. It just doesn't matter. If you came from a family that loves you and that, took good care of you, that's great. Keep in touch with them. Keep those relationships up. But if you came from a space that made you feel worthless, that made you feel less than, that didn't, or maybe they couldn't, maybe they were just too toxic, maybe they thought they were trying to love you, but in reality they were just crazy, or maybe they were mentally ill, and it just caused you an enormous amount of pain as a child growing up. You know what? It's okay. It's not a reflection of your worthiness. Like for me, I carried so much bitterness in my heart for so long towards my father and towards my mother later on. And I got to tell you right now that the forgiveness, when you learn how to love yourself, I promise you this, when you actually actively invest in your own healing journey, whether that's through therapy, through your spiritual path, you talk to a mentor, a guru, whatever, you do it all on your own. It doesn't matter. But as you evolve and as you heal and as you learn that self-love, you pull that anger out. You pull that resentment out. You remove the bitterness, and that leaves a hole. And nature abhors a vacuum. And for me, when that happened, forgiveness washed in. I literally didn't have any room. I can't be mad if I tried. I can't think of my parents outside of a space of empathy and compassion for everything that they did do for me as a child growing up. I have no idea what my parents had to go through. I know that they struggled, and I know that they made mistakes because all humans are fallible. And it just is what it is. It was the ground. It was the platform. It was the stepping stone. It was that place that I grew from and then I had to heal from. And it is what it is, guys. It just is. It's your responsibility to heal. It's your responsibility to look in the mirror and say, I'm going to take care of this person. Nobody's going to take care of you any better than you take care of you. That's a fact. That's why if you wonder why you get into a wash, rinse, repeat cycle in your personal relationships with people who treat you poorly, that's because you treat you poorly. We're all mirrors. That's what, and I did it. I did that too. So, and now I'm on Facebook and I'm looking at old memories that are popping up, and I dig down into that rabbit hole of photographs, and I click on that album and I look at her here and I look at her there, and and I see her face is bloated. And there's a fullness to her face, and it's not a healthy fullness. It's weight, it's stress, it's depression, it's alcohol, it's needing to lose weight, needing to eat healthier, needing to love herself more. And it's bittersweet because honestly, if she hadn't gone through everything that she went through, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't. That's just a fact. And I'm grateful for her. Deeply grateful. And I'm also grateful that I'm here and that I don't feel that way anymore. And I just hope that my testament to my experiences is helpful for you too. So, yeah. Facebook memories, they can be a hit or miss, man. They can set you up for all kinds of stuff. I know you've had it. And, sometimes I'll post things too, political stuff. I'll be like, well, let me delete that because we don't need to have that popping back up. So that's a good thing. That's a good feature about social media is that you can actually go and delete the old things, but the memories are still there. And those, you can't delete those, but it's okay. Even when you're not 100% proud of who you were and maybe some of the things you did, and because of the belief systems that you held on to back then, and you've got more information now. You're doing better now, but you can't beat yourself up in the past for the decisions that you made in the past based upon the knowledge or lack of knowledge that you had at that time. So, the olive branch of forgiveness and peace that you extend to other people, to make up for it. You got to learn how to do that for yourself. And you got to understand that you are where you are today because of those experiences. So love yourself. Go on that journey. Explore. Don't be scared to look at your inner child and do some of that shadow digging. Look at the other episode on shadow work if you'd like more information on that. And love yourself fully because you're worth it. All right. From fear to love. This has been an LBM production. Please like, subscribe, and share this show. Thanks for listening.